Hey you guys, so I'm back again with another message. And I told you all that God got me reading the book of Deuteronomy, right? So I read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 16 last night before I went to bed, and God is saying it's time to celebrate. All right, it's time to celebrate. So I'm gonna read Matthew chapter 16 verses 1 through the 17th verse. And it reads, in honor of the Lord your God, celebrate the Passover each year in every spring in the month of Abib, for that was the month in which the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt by night. Your Passover sacrifice may be from either the flock or the herd, and it must be sacrificed to the Lord your God at the designated place of worship, the place he chooses for his name to be honored. Eat it with bread made without yeast. For 7 days the bread you eat must be made without yeast, as when you escaped from Egypt in such a hurry. Eat this bread, the bread of suffering, so that as long as you live you will remember the day you departed from Egypt. Let no yeast be found in any house throughout your land for those 7 days. And when you sacrifice the Passover lamb on the evening of the first day, do not let any of the meat remain until the next morning. You may not sacrifice the Passover in just any old towns the Lord your God is giving you. You must offer it only as the designated place of worship. At the designated place of worship, the place the Lord your God chooses for his name to be honored. Sacrifice it there in the evening as the sun goes down on the anniversary of your exodus from Egypt. Roast the lamb and eat it in the place of the Lord your God chooses. Then you may go back to your tents the next morning. For the next 6 days you may not eat any bread made with yeast. On the seventh day proclaim another holy day in honor of the Lord your God, and no work may be done on that day. Okay, and this section talks about the festival of the harvest. Count off 7 weeks from when you first begin to cut the grain at the time of harvest. Then celebrate the festival of harvest to honor the Lord your God. Bring him a voluntary offering in proportion to the blessing you have received from him. This is a time to celebrate before the Lord your God at the designated place of worship he will choose for his name to be honored. Celebrate your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, the Levites from your town, and the foreigners, orphans, and widows who live among you. Remember that you were once slaves in Egypt, so be careful to obey all these decrees. This one is called the Festival of the Shelters. You must observe the Festival of Shelters for 7 days at the end of the harvest season, after the grain has been threshed and the grapes have been pressed. This festival will be a happy time of celebrating your sons and your daughters, your male and female servants, and the Levites, foreigners, orphans, and widows from your town. For 7 days you must celebrate this festival to honor the Lord your God at the place he chooses. For it is he who blessed you with bountiful harvest and gives you success in all your works. This festival will be a time of great joy. Every year, every man in Israel must celebrate these 3 festivals: the festival of unleavened bread, the festival of harvest, the festival of shelters. On each of these occasions, all men must appear before the Lord your God at the place he chooses, but they must not appear before the Lord without a gift for him. All must give as they are able, according to the blessings given to them by the Lord your God. I want to go back to verse number 15 and read it again. It says, for 7 days you must celebrate the festivals of honor to honor the Lord your God, the place he chooses. For it is he who blesses you with bountiful harvest and gives you your success in all your work. This festival will be a time of great joy for all. Yeah, when I was reading this, God said it's time to celebrate. Um, it's time to celebrate. A lot of God's children is coming out of a captivity, and it's your time to celebrate. Um, it will be celebration season for you. You'll be celebrating your harvest. You'll be celebrating shelters. And when God, thank you, Holy Spirit, and when God drops the festival of shelters just now in my spirit, some of y'all going to be actually moving to actual homes that God has promised you, to actual land that God has promised you. Um, so this is going to be a celebration time, y'all. A lot of things are going to be happening, and a lot of God's children are going to be celebrating things back to back to back. And God clearly told me last night, like, it's a time to celebrate. It's a time to celebrate. And it really is a time to celebrate, because a lot of God's children, we are walking into the promised land. We are walking into what the land of milk and honey. And God, like I said, He got me reading the book of Deuteronomy for a reason, because a lot of His children are coming out of captivity. A lot of His children has been held up by pharaohs, okay, or have been going through a lot when it comes to life, when it comes to career, when it comes to um, their business, their job, family. A lot of God's children, life has really been life and it's been like long suffering. The children of Egypt, or the children of Israel, when they was in Egypt, they endured long suffering, and that suffering is about to be over for a lot of God's children. And God clearly told me last night, it's a time to celebrate. It's a celebration, okay? And like I said, it's gonna be celebrations back to back for a lot of God's children. Um, Whatever you have been praying for, whatever you have been asking God for, He's going to give it to you in this season. We just have to be very careful about obeying God's command, because like I told you in a previous video, God is very detailed. He's very strategic, and you have to do what He's calling you to do in this time and this hour. Even when it comes down to your place of worship, where you're worshiping at, how you're paying your tithes, how you're doing certain things, God is going to give you the instructions, and you have to follow those instructions to the T, because He's very detailed. But God is saying it's a time. This is a time to celebrate, a time of celebration. Okay, and Lord and behold, it's already like celebration time. Because a lot of children, they're getting out of school. They're happy about the summer. A lot of people are graduating. They're transitioning from high school to college, and all these things. So it's already celebration time. But y'all, get ready. Get ready, like I said, for just to celebrate, because a lot of God's children, it's going to be a celebration time. It's going to be really a celebration time for His children. All right, so get ready. It's time to celebrate. This will be a joyful time for you. This will be a joyful year for you. This festival will be a time of great joy for all. All right, so you guys get ready, because God clearly said it is a time to celebrate. So it's time to celebrate, y'all. It's time to celebrate. Time to give God honor. Time to give God praise for what He's doing and what He's going to do. And it's time to actually celebrate your harvest, what He's about to bless you with. So I love you guys. I pray that this message was helpful to you. Go back and read Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 1 through 17. I pray that it was a blessing. And like I said, I love you guys. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. And I will chat with you all later.